Elena Vasquez had always been the quiet architect of her family's stability. At 34, she was a successful financial advisor in Miami, specializing in estate planning for high net worth clients. Her days were filled with meticulously organized spreadsheets, complex trusts, and the unyielding logic of numbers that governed wealth and legacy. She thrived in the precision of it all, every decimal point assurance of control in an unpredictable world. But when it came to her family, the equations never quite balanced. Born into a modest Cuban-American household in the vibrant streets of Little Havana, Elena grew up under the watchful eyes of her parents, Miguel and Rosa. They had emigrated from Havana in the early 1980s, fleeing political turmoil with little more than dreams and determination. Miguel started a small grocery store, Vasquez Market, where the family spent countless hours stocking shelves and serving the community. Rosa managed the home, infusing it with the aromas of traditional Cuban dishes like arroz con pollo and flan. Elena, the elder sister by 5 years, was the responsible one from the start. She helped with homework for her younger sister Sofia, balanced the store's books as a teenager, and even took on part-time jobs to contribute to the household. Sofia, on the other hand, was the family's shining star, vibrant, outgoing, and endlessly charming. With her infectious laugh and natural charisma, she could light up any room. While Elena buried herself in books and numbers, Sofia dreamed of the spotlight. "One day, I'll be famous," she'd say, twirling in front of the mirror with improvised outsets. Miguel adored her spirit, often saying, "Sofia is our sunshine." Rosa, too, doted on her, perhaps because Sofia reminded her of her own youthful aspirations left behind in Cuba. Elena didn't mind at first. She loved her sister and took pride in being the steady force that allowed Sofia to dream. As the years passed, the family dynamics shifted subtly but irrevocably. Miguel's health declined after a diagnosis of lung cancer, a cruel twist for a man who had never smoked but had worked tirelessly in dusty warehouses before opening the store. Elena stepped up without hesitation. She managed the store's finances, coordinated Miguel's treatments, and even dipped into her savings to cover medical bills when insurance fell short. Sofia, meanwhile, moved to New York to pursue her lifestyle influencer career, posting glamorous photos of brunches, fashion hauls, and city adventures on Instagram. Her visits home were sporadic, filled with stories of auditions and networking events, but little practical help. When Miguel passed away 3 years ago, the family was shattered. But amid the grief came a surprise. Miguel had quietly amassed $2 million through savvy real estate investments in Miami's booming market. He kept it secret, perhaps to avoid family disputes. The will, read by the lawyer in their modest living room, was clear and deliberate. 60%, $1.2 million, to Elena for her steadfast support and sacrifices, 30%, $600,000, to Sofia, and 10%, $200,000, to Rosa. It was Miguel's way of acknowledging Elena's role as the family's backbone. The reading of the will ignited tensions that had simmered for years. Sofia's face twisted in disbelief. "This can't be right," she whispered, tears welling up. "Dad always said we'd share equally." Rosa, clutching a rosary, nodded in agreement. "Elena, you have your career. Sofia needs this to build her future." Elena felt a pang of hurt, but remained composed. "Dad's wishes are clear. I'll honor them." She had already planned to use her share for a down payment on a home and to secure her retirement, envisioning a stable life after years of putting family first. But grief has a way of warping priorities. In the months following Miguel's death, Rosa leaned heavily on Sofia's energy and optimism. Sofia, sensing vulnerability, began planting seeds of doubt. "Elena probably influenced Dad when he was weak," she'd say during late-night conversations with Rosa. "She's always been so controlling with the money." Rosa, desperate for peace, started to believe it. Together, they decided to contest the will, claiming Elena had exercised undue influence over Miguel during his illness. The court battle was grueling. Elena hired a lawyer, presented evidence of her father's sound mind, and even shared personal letters from Miguel praising her dedication. Sofia's and Rosa's claims fell apart under scrutiny. The judge ruled in Elena's favor, upholding the will. The inheritance was distributed as planned, or so Elena thought. One rainy afternoon, as Elena sat in her office reviewing client portfolios, her phone buzzed with a bank alert. A large transfer from the joint account she shared with Rosa, kept open for family emergencies, had been executed. $1.2 million, her entire share, gone in an instant. Heart pounding, she logged into the account. The transaction details showed it went to Sofia's name, labeled as business investment. Panicking, Elena called Rosa. "Mom, what's happening? That's my money." Rosa's voice was frail over the line. "Sophia needed it for her business, mija. She's starting a wellness brand. Retreats, products, the whole thing. It's an investment. You'll get it back when it takes off." Elena's mind raced. "Mom, that's not how this works. Did you authorize this?" Rosa hesitated. Sophia handled the papers. She said it was okay. Elena drove straight to Rosa's house, the rain mirroring her turmoil. Sophia was there, surrounded by boxes of high-end skincare samples and promotional materials. "Hey sis, look at this, my new line." Sophia beamed, holding up a glossy bottle. Elena forced a calm tone. "What did you do with the money?" Sophia shrugged casually. "It's for the brand. Launch party, apartment in Manhattan for meetings, marketing. It's temporary. Once I get endorsements, it'll pay back tenfold. You'll be proud." But Elena wasn't buying it. That night, alone in her apartment, she dug deeper. Logging into shared family accounts and reviewing statements, she uncovered the truth. Sophia had forged Elena's signature on transfer forms, using Rosa's access to the joint account. The money had funded not just business expenses, but a luxury lifestyle, a high-rise apartment in Manhattan, $5,000 rent per month, a personal trainer, designer clothes, and extravagant parties with influencers. Sophia's Instagram feed was a testament. Posts tagged "Blessed Life, Entrepreneur Journey," showcasing brunches at rooftop bars and trips to the Hamptons, all on Elena's dime. The betrayal hit like a tidal wave. Elena had sacrificed her social life, potential relationships, and even a lucrative promotion to care for Miguel during his illness. She'd skipped vacations, worked overtime, and put her dreams on hold to ensure the family stayed afloat. Now, her future, the security she had earned, was evaporating before her eyes. Tears streamed down her face as she stared at the screen, but anger soon replaced sorrow. This wasn't just theft, it was a calculated erasure of her contributions. Elena didn't scream or confront them immediately. Instead, she wiped her tears and began to calculate. Revenge, she decided, would be served cold, methodical, legal, and utterly devastating. The next morning, Elena called in sick to work, a rare occurrence for someone as dedicated as hers. She needed time to think, to plan. Sitting at her kitchen table with a strong cup of Cuban coffee, she mapped out her strategy. First, she needed proof, irrefutable evidence that would stand up in court. She couldn't afford to let emotion cloud her judgment. This had to be precise. Elena hired a private investigator named Marco, a former police detective recommended by a client. Discreet and thorough, the client had said. Marco's fee was steep, but Elena saw it as an investment. "I need everything on my sister, Sophia. Finances, associations, the works," she told him over a secure video call. Marco nodded. "Give me 2 weeks." While waiting, Elena protected what remained of her assets. She transferred her savings and investments into new, protected trusts that Sophia and Rosa couldn't touch. She also reviewed the family bank statements more closely, discovering patterns, small withdrawals leading up to the big transfer, all routed through Sophia's accounts. Sophia had even used Elena's credit card information for online purchases, identity theft on top of forgery. Marco's report arrived sooner than expected, and it was a bombshell. Sophia's wellness brand was little more than a facade. There was no registered LLC, no business plan filed with the state. Instead, it was a shell company used to launder the stolen money into personal expenses. The report included bank records showing transfers to luxury vendors, $50,000 for the Manhattan apartment deposit, $10,000 for a wardrobe overhaul, and even $5,000 for a brand photo shoot in the Bahamas. Worse, Sophia was dating Victor Ramirez, a venture capitalist with a shady past, convicted of securities fraud 5 years ago, now operating under aliases. The PI had obtained emails from Victor's discarded laptop, legally through a contact in cybersecurity. In one, Sophia boasted, "Mom's totally on board. Elena won't notice until it's too late. She's too busy playing the martyr." Another, "Once the brand launches, we'll flip it for millions, thanks to Dad's money." Elena felt a chill reading them. This wasn't impulsive, it was premeditated. Rosa's involvement stung the most. The report showed she'd signed off on some transfers, perhaps under Sophia's influence. During a quiet lunch with Rosa, Elena probed gently. "Mom, how's Sophia's business going?" Rosa's eyes lit up. "Oh, it's wonderful. She's the dreamer, you know. You're the planner, Elena, always so practical." The words echoed Miguel's old praises, but now they felt like a slap. Elena realized her role as the responsible one had made her invisible, her sacrifices taken for granted. Armed with the report, Elena consulted her colleague Carla Mendoza, a sharp family law attorney. They met in Carla's downtown office overlooking Biscayne Bay. "This is textbook fraud," Carla said, flipping through the documents. "Forgery, embezzlement, even elements of identity theft. We can file for an emergency asset freeze, sue for restitution, and pursue criminal charges if needed." Elena nodded, but her eyes were steel. "I want more than money back. I want them to feel the weight of what they did, without destroying everything." Carla outlined the plan. Gather more evidence, including affidavits from bank officials confirming the forgeries. Use Victor's fraud history to obtain court orders for digital records. Then strike at the right moment, Sophia's brand launch party where her world was most visible. Elena agreed. In the weeks that followed, she worked tirelessly. She anonymously tipped off Sophia's potential investors about the shell company, planting seeds of doubt. One by one, they backed out. Citing due diligence issues, Elena also focused on her own healing. She started journaling, documenting not just the facts, but her emotions, the betrayal, the loneliness, the anger. It helped her stay grounded. One entry read, "They took my money, but they can't take my strength. This ends on my terms." The turning point came with an invitation, or rather, the lack of one. Sophia's brand launch was the talk of her social circle, a glitzy event in a Manhattan loft filled with influencers and potential partners. Elena wasn't invited, of course, but she booked a flight anyway, blending into the crowd as an unassuming guest. Sophia, radiant in a $5,000 designer gown, billed to the stolen credit line, raised a champagne glass for a toast. "To family who believes in dreams. Without you, none of this would be possible." The irony wasn't lost on Elena, who smiled from the shadows, her phone recording discreetly. That night, back in her hotel room, Elena finalized the paperwork. With Carla's help, she filed the lawsuit, claims of fraud, identity theft, and emotional distress. Attachments included the PI's report, bank records, emails, and even screenshots of Sophia's Instagram posts, juxtaposed with transaction dates. The court, recognizing the urgency, issued an immediate asset freeze on Sophia's accounts and properties. Sophia's world unraveled faster than she could post about it. The morning after the launch, she woke to frantic calls from her bank. Accounts frozen, credit cards declined. Sponsors who had pledged support the night before backed out, citing legal concerns. Her Instagram comments, once filled with admiration, turned toxic. "Is this a scam? Hashtag fake influencer." The finance blogger Elena had tipped off published an exposé. Behind the glamour, influencer's empire built on stolen family inheritance. It went viral, amassing thousands of shares. Victor, the investor boyfriend, ghosted immediately. His phone went straight to voicemail and his social profiles vanished. Sophia, in panic, called Rosa. "Mom, something's wrong. My accounts are locked." Rosa, confused, called Elena. "Mija, do you know what's happening?" Elena's voice was steady. "Yes, Mom, I do. It's time we talk. All of us." The family meeting was arranged at a neutral location, Carla's office. Sophia arrived disheveled, her usual poise shattered. "What the hell, Elena? Are you trying to ruin me?" she screamed, slamming the door. Rosa sat between them, wringing her hands. Elena remained calm, sliding the evidence folder across the table. "Ruin you? You ruined yourself when you forged my signature and stole what Dad left me." The mediation session was brutal. Sophia denied it first. "It was a loan. You'll get it back." But the evidence was overwhelming. Bank affidavits confirming forgeries, email chains with Victor discussing easy money, even geotagged posts matching transaction dates for luxury purchases. Rosa broke down in tears. "I thought it was okay. Sophia said it was for the family." Elena looked at her mother with a mix of pity and resolve. "Family doesn't steal, Mom. Family supports." Sophia's accusations flew. "You're just jealous. You've always been the boring one stuck in your office while I live life." Elena didn't rise to the bait. Instead, she presented the financial toll, her missed opportunities, the stress, the betrayal's emotional weight. Carla steered the discussion. "This can end in court with criminal charges, or we settle here." The judge, reviewing the case, ruled swiftly in Elena's favor. Restitution was ordered, $1.2 million principal, plus $300,000 in interest and legal fees, totaling $1.5 million. Sophia was forced to sell her Manhattan apartment at a loss, liquidate her brand inventory, and pay back in installments. Rosa, as a complicit party, forfeited part of her share, downsizing to a smaller home. Criminal charges were dropped in exchange for full cooperation and a no-contact order during repayment. But Elena's revenge extended beyond finances. She donated 10% of the recovered funds, $150,000, to a charity supporting immigrant families with legal aid, naming it after Miguel. The press release she issued, anonymously, highlighted overcoming family fraud, further tarnishing Sophia's reputation. Sophia's Instagram was shadow banned after mass reports of deceptive practices, her follower count plummeting. In the aftermath, Elena felt a strange mix of victory and sorrow. She had reclaimed her money, her trust in herself, and her right to a life unburdened by others' greed. Journaling became a habit, her entries evolving from pain to empowerment. One read, "Betrayal shadows us, but we choose the light. I chose justice, cold, calculated, and ultimately healing." In the end, Elena realized that true revenge isn't fire that consumes everything. It's frost that preserves what matters, allowing growth in the thaw. As she watched the sunset over the bay, she felt whole, an architect not just of finances, but of her own